It's a terrible feeling when you feel like you're in a marriage and you're doing all of it on your own. There's something I use in my practice, and I call it the 1% rule. Because the 1% rule, not to be confused with the 10% rule in dating, the 1% rule is when you're in a relationship and you start feeling like you're doing more. You may only do 1% more of the tasks each day in your relationship, but if you're not getting the attention, the feeling like your partner's vision is set with you, that the two of you are really enjoying the marriage together, you'll start feeling revengeful. You'll start saying, well, I'm doing it all. I'm always the one who makes coffee. Well, you aren't always the one who makes coffee, but it starts feeling that way. Even if you make coffee 1% more of the time than your partner, you'll start feeling resentful and start telling yourself, I'm responsible. I'm the only one doing something for the two of us. This 1% rule is really tricky because the bottom line is once you convince yourself that you're doing more, you're putting in more effort for the relationship, that becomes your truth. That becomes your total perception. Even if it's as small as 1%, for you, 1% becomes 100%. Now, if you have a partner who you start feeling this way about, that you feel like they're not doing the effort, maybe it's because your 1% has turned into 100%, I'm going to tell you what doesn't work. Because by the time I see couples, they've tried these three things and their partner has not been motivated to take on more of the menial or the significant tasks that you felt they don't do at all, okay? The first is, if you ask your partner to read a marriage book that you've read and you're going to do it together, or listen to a podcast, or read a blog, they may read the blog on their own time, but that does not mean they're going to change or start putting in more effort to listen to you and to give you attention, which I think is behind the whole idea that they're not putting in effort into the relationship. Secondly, you can call a big meeting on the couch and you can basically say, okay, I'm going through everything. This is what I'm doing more of. My guess is that's going to backfire because it sounds a lot like tit for tat in a relationship. I'm doing this, you get no points because you're not doing this. Or I'm doing this, and once again, you're doing zero. The truth is, when you have the 1% rule, even if you're doing 1% more, that's all you're seeing. You begin counting and you become obsessed with the fact that you're doing more. And I tell you honestly, if an objective person comes in, they may not see your truth as their truth. And thirdly, when you tell them they have to go to marriage therapy or the marriage isn't going to work, I've seen a lot of couples come in and it's expensive, but unless both people come willing to change, therapy does not work. And you will end up having a very distasteful feel for therapy because you will know it didn't work for you when you tried it before. But that's because you came in, only one of you really wanted it, and they wanted from the therapist for the therapist to change your partner, and that's not how therapy works. So let's talk about what will work if you feel like you're doing more, okay? Number one, you have to quit micromanaging your partner. You have to stop telling them where they're screwing up. You need to start seeing and looking for ways that they're contributing and then praise whatever effort you see in them. Like, man, I felt like a queen this morning when I slept in and you got up and made coffee. You will never know how special that made me feel. And you know what? You'll start seeing more of that. more than anything, what this does is it helps you shift focus on what you really, really appreciate. It's going to help you start seeing, they do put in effort. It's just that I've been discounting it because I'm on some kind of I'm not getting the attention, or I feel like I'm getting ignored more. And I think as you start seeing that, you'll start looking more for their effort. Secondly, start honoring your desires, even if you're uncomfortable addressing them. So many times when couples have been together, especially for over 5 years, is if they have kids, sex becomes sort of awkward and it gets into a routine. If you stop having sex, then talking about it just gets very uncomfortable. And we oftentimes get so busy that unless one partner is complaining, and it's usually the guy, then we don't do anything. We never initiate sex. Women as a whole, if the guy is initiating, we kind of wait for them to do it because it can almost begin feeling dutiful. You're not going to do that anymore. You're going to listen to your body. What does your body need? If it needs a wet kiss, then you're going to go to your partner and give them a wet kiss. It doesn't mean you're going to be all passionate in love at that time with them. It means you're honoring your own internal desires. You're claiming your own sexuality. You're not looking at, is it a good time for him? You're starting to get selfish about your own sexual and physical needs. And thirdly, you're going to look at your life and say, am I as joyful as I've always been? And am I blaming my marriage or my partner if I'm not? Is it really your partner's job to find your joy and make you happy? No, it isn't. It's yours. If you can't identify your own interests, what brings you joy, and incorporate those into your life, no partner will be able to do that for you, and you'll end up very unhappily married. So please, in the future, before you go after your partner or blame them or tell them they're not giving you the attention you need, be very clear about what brings you joy. What's important to you? What makes life meaningful for you? And find time, make boundaries, and go after those.